What up, perps? Kate Copious. Back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, and common sense. Yeah. Yeah, so this week was kind of slow. Kind of took a little bit of a mental break from the news a little bit. So I want to bring you kind of a special episode here. You know, kind of looking at like why we need purple. You know, why we need another political party that splits the middle, you know? Not splits the middle, unites the middle. Yeah, you know, that's what you get with me. Misspellings and misspokens. So let's get it popping. All right, so before I started filming, I was looking out my studio door, and I was watching one of my little squirrel nutkins eating his peanut up there, biting through the shell and getting the juicy peanut inside. And the sparrows come along, and they clean up all the little bits of the shell. They eat that part of it. And someday, one of the many hawks or falcons that are around this area is going to get one of them sparrows or get one of them squirrels. And the circle of life will just continue. But in that circle of life, you also have survival of the fittest. And that's what I'm sort of looking at with the political parties. You know, maybe it's time to replace these two with, add a third or, turn one a little bit more purple. And we're going to look at a couple of the ways that the parties themselves, unfortunately now, are all about survival mode. And they don't want to hear any outside voices. And if they try to step out of line, they get quickly shut down, you know. At one point, Fetterman was, one of the pride, the pride of the Democratic Party, but then he didn't side with them on things like Israel and some of this other shit, right? And the same thing happens with the Republicans. You know, if a Republican talks about compromising on abortion, which we're going to look at later, they get vilified. And the numbers don't support their position, but they know that you're not going to go to the other side, so therefore they can take advantage of your guaranteed vote. And the other side should be looking at how they can take advantage of the other side's, the misgivings that people have with the other side. But instead, they just rally around the troops, That's what they do. First thing that we're going to kick off here is the Democrats snub invitation to participate in hearing on the impact of Biden's energy policies. This isn't about trying to overturn his policies or promote any one product. For example, me being purple, I look at green energy a different way. See, I play a lot of Minecraft. I play a lot of games where there's a premium on resource management. So I look at something like solar and wind as a way to make sure that we keep enough, fossil fuels, crude oil to make the plastics that we need and to power vehicles. Because I think that's where it should be going. Recently we talked about Biden putting money into cleaning up some of these production plants. And that is the answer forward. We need to, manage our resources and try to make things cleaner. That's the two goals of this particular level. But when they want to talk about it, the Democrats don't come. This is a House Oversight Accountability Subcommittee field hearing in Texas, okay? And they're looking at his anti-fossil fuel policies. And he does have anti-fossil fuel policies and the impact that they have on America's energy industry and those employed by it. And also by the people who use it. You and me. It gets hot as heck here in California. But I can't run my AC. I don't get it. Recently, Gavin Newsom bragged that we went 9 straight hours on renewable. Well, that's great. Wonderful, 9 hours. But that's not going to cut it. And for most of the country, they are going to need backups. They're not going to be able to rely on solar and wind. It just doesn't work at certain times of the year in certain places. So I'm not against green energy. I'm against the speed at which they're moving. The money that's being poured into it. If people want to pay money to charge their Teslas or other electric vehicles at a charging station, private enterprise will fill that need. That's what people do here. People want a sweet drink with their hot dog, so Coke came out with Coca-Cola. You know, people love root beer floats, so somebody made root beer. I mean, that's just the way things work. I'm kind of thirsty right now. I need some sugar. Ooh, I have my Red Bull, though, you know. Don't ever miss that. But it's not about trying to overturn what the other side or one side wants. It's the application of it all. The goal was to have a serious discussion about energy from a panel of oil and gas industry leaders. Okay? How are the Biden policies hurting your industry? 15 members of the subcommittees were invited to attend, but not a single Democrat accepted the invitation. This is Fallon, the guy who was running the thing. It's unfortunate and sad, but also very telling that there's not a Democrat that accepted this invitation. Because I think, unfortunately, there's many people in the course of the political discourse that don't want to have a serious conversation or energy. You know, a lot of these people are rich and they live in areas where renewables make a little more sense. I mean, if you reside here in California, renewables make a lot of sense. Nevada, Arizona, a lot of the Southwest, it makes a lot of sense. Okay? But it doesn't always make sense. And the way you go about it, damaging the industry, raising costs to the consumer, that's not a very bright way of doing it. So one of the people who was going to speak at this thing, Ron Gusek, is the president of Liberty Energy. In 2021, Liberty Energy made headlines when it criticized outdoor apparel retailer The North Face for refusing to sell apparel with the logo of Innovex Downhole Solutions, an oil farm. I don't know why somebody would want that. I don't know. I don't know the full story on that. I'm guessing it's a popular logo. I don't know. But Liberty Energy went on to point out that North Face clothes actually consist of polyester and other synthetic materials, virtually all of which are derived from petroleum. The campaign included videos and billboards thanking North Face for being such a great customer of the oil and gas industry. That's, you know, you see that with those protesters blocking traffic and they're wearing polyester safety vests. Okay? I get it. We need to clean up our act. That is made abundantly clear. But the fact is we need fossil fuels, crude oil, to make polyesters and plastics and things like that. So how do we do it in a cleaner, more efficient way? Let's work towards that. But when they try to dismantle the energy sector, the petroleum companies, they stymie that kind of research. If you are going to say that no cars are going to run on gasoline, then why do the companies need to invest in cleaner gasoline or cleaning burning engines? Because the reality is, electric isn't going to work for everybody. It never will. It's going to be a giant clusterfuck for many of our lifetimes. If not everybody on the planet right now, we'll never see it be the replacement for gasoline. So why are we wasting the time and money on it? One of the things that Liberty Energy put out was a statement about bettering human lives. We firmly believe that fossil fuels drive immense benefits for our company, consumers, the American economy, and ultimately the world. We do not apologize for it. Nor should they. Nor should they. Let's clean up our act. But we don't need to vilify something that is so important and that has had such an impact. As Gusick says here, fossil fuels have more than doubled the human life expectancy in the past 100 years when the global has exponentially increased its use of them while lifting billions out of poverty. He called this the hockey stick in human well-being. He's referencing this guy, Michael Mann, not the Miami Vice guy, who showed that there was a rapid increase in temperature in the last 30 years after periods of temperature declines. That's the hockey stick. If you turn it, flip it, it looks like a hockey stick. Now, I agree, there's some evidence that man has possibly played a role in heating up the planet. Okay? But in a court of law, this is circumstantial evidence. You could show that the earth is raised. You could show that what we have done, how much pollutants we put into the air. You can make some correlations between that. But can we do anything about it? Is there anything that we can do when you consider that electric vehicles, as it currently is, are often getting their electricity from fossil fuels? And their production comes from, then their production is not clean. Their disposal is not clean. And as we're seeing more and more, there are a lot of problems with these vehicles. One of the things that I saw, it blew my mind. It was Drew Gooden on YouTube. He rented one of the Tesla Cybertrucks. And one of the things he pointed out that was super scary was that a lot of the controls, and I'm talking about controls like the little vents that blow the AC. You know how you can turn them, right, to blow the air where you want? That's stuff you have to do on the dashboard. More and more, our cars are being made heavier and more distracting. Electric vehicles are only going to make them heavier and more distracting because electric vehicles rely on computers and gadgets to entice their customers. That's what they expect. I don't know. Man, we went way out of line there. Gusick went on to say, but a willful ignorance of the reality is driving politically motivated attacks on our industry that will impoverish American consumers and ultimately the world. There you go. I mean, that's what it's all about. The Biden administration has set up interlocking rules. And here's some of them. I'll try to read them quickly because I want to keep this short. The SEC's climate disclosure rule, California's climate disclosure rule, the Department of Labor's Employee Retirement Income Security Act, ASG rule. How's that tied together? I don't know. The Federal Acquisition Regulatory Council Greenhouse Gas and Sustainable Government Procurement rules, and the EPA's methane rule and power plant rule. You put all those types of regulations in place, you stifle an industry. They need to be progressing. We're not done with fossil fuels, so we need to progress our technology and how we acquire them and how we use them. But as long as they don't want to talk about it and just make up excuses like this one, Dove here, she says the amount of attention was disproportionate to any problem the industry faces, as America is producing more oil and gas than any nation in history. She says, you would be forgiven for thinking that the oil and gas industry is in some kind of crisis, in immediate need of government assistance and intervention. But let's be clear, nothing could be further from the truth. Well, that's not true, because they're at record high production levels because of record high increase in demand. They don't need the government help or hindrance. See, that's the middle road. We don't need to help them. We don't need to hinder them. Let them do what they're going to do. Let them progress. Right? Promote progression. And then amongst all of these people making their excuses and not showing up and stuff, Cori Bush, the Democrat, Cori Bush, that one, accused Epstein of espousing white supremacist views because he argued in a college essay some 20 years ago that Western cultures that embrace liberty and individuality were superior to those who reject those values. Fallon compared the anti-fossil fuel movement to the defund the police. The left was turning the good guys into the bad guys and calling the bad guys the good guys. Back to Cori Bush. White supremacy, oil. You can't say that there's a link, that there's not a link between white people and oil. That's true. Is that white supremacy? I don't think so. And her statement, in amongst all of this stuff, we'll talk about the protest over Palestine later. But Western cultures that embrace liberty and individuality are superior to those who reject liberty and individuality. Because go to a communist country, go to a truly communist country or a dictatorship where there is no liberty and no individuality. But that's the kind of crap that they have to come up with. to try to vilify the movement well, let's just pull back and stop trying to run fossil fuels out of town. One of the most frustrating things is that I believe that the left has been completely taken over by the extremists. And the only way to combat that is to pivot to the other side. The other side, the Republicans, though, want to make abortion illegal, despite the fact that a majority of people believe that abortion should be legal. The only thing they ever quibble about is what trimester. You know, as you can see here, 34% legal under any, 51% legal under certain. And certain has to do with meeting the whole trimester thing. Wow, this computer is really messing with me right now. Right there, 69% in the first trimester. And the numbers are out there that support that. But instead of looking at what the majority of Americans want and going with that, the Republicans know, hey, you're not going to vote for those loonies on the left. So we can sort of do our thing to lock down our extreme. No. The Republican Party has an opportunity to drop their extreme and move in line with America and just go with what the survey says. You know, maybe if you really want to outlaw it in the third trimester, okay. But instead, the Republicans double down on this crap. They double down on weed and abortion, and that is what is going to possibly cost them an election. And that's going to cost our country, because 4 more years of this insanity, whether it's California or Washington, D.C., I don't know that we can take that. When you see what's going on around the college campuses, the big cities, even some of the smaller cities, it's not looking good. And if we don't change our ways, if we don't start focusing on what's really important and drop the extremes, we're in trouble, no matter who gets in office. Look, the college campuses right now are just, some of them are just absolutely full of shit. These people are being kept in the field. They're being primed for another summer of violence. You know, but I just thought some of these were really good. I like this one about Colombia. Death to America, but pay off my student loan first, from Bronco there. Babylon Bee fires back. Colombia protesters clarify they only want death to America after America is done paying their student loans. Palestine going to pay your student loans? No. But that's what entitled people look like. There was one today that I read where they were going to have a protest, but it was all a bunch of white people, and they thought that was a bad look. So they canceled that. It's just, these people are full of shit. They're being kept in the field. The Democrats know that the only way they are going to win this next election is if they get the youth vote, and they are pumping these people just full of rhetoric and turning them loose and letting them know, hey, you can go out and hate people again. And in the summertime, they'll pull them back. They'll take them to another city where some black guy is going to die at the hands of the police or in an interaction with the police. We guarantee it. That's the playbook at this point. Columbia admins promise to carefully investigate whether let's kill every Jew we see on campus chance violates school's conduct policy. This is another one of those ones where they cancel repeatedly anybody who's of a conservative or not extreme left point of view. But then they allow this kind of stuff. Other schools, and some of the red states, they've been calling the cops like that. But this is not a free speech thing. They're on private campuses. If Columbia is public, put it in the comments. I don't really care. But these people are being lied to. They're being primed. They're being shown how to do the summer of protest, because that's what they're going to need. That's what happens every election year. Hamas thanks college student supporters by promising them a quick death during global infantile. I don't give a shit. And again, that's the stupidity of the extreme left. This is why I don't understand why the Democrats back this kind of shit. This is extremist behavior. They were chanting, "We are Hamas," at some of these rallies. Hamas would kill these people. Okay, these are Westerners. These are Christians. These people don't understand that just because you show support, you're not a pawn. You're a pawn. You're a pawn in their game. Columbia University students rejected two-campus solution. It's never going to work. All right? The facts are that both sides have done horrible shit, okay? Israel has definitely done some encroachment. They've done some shady shit. I'm not saying they haven't. But in recent history, they left Gaza. Gaza elected Hamas. And on October 7th, Hamas launched one of the most vicious attacks I think the world has ever seen. At least the details that have been given to us are the worst we've ever seen. This is a thing. This is like our 9/11. And as soon as Israel reacts, all the campuses start, not all the campuses, all of these particular campuses start showing support for the Palestinians, and then it evolves into Hamas and hating the Jews. All right? We should be standing with Israel. Israel was the one who was attacked most recently. Israel's the one who suffered at the hands of these people. These people who are in power because the people of Gaza wanted them in power. But these brain-dead college students are just being primed for the summer of violence. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. Calling it like I see it. So last week I had a lot of PragerU. And this week I bring you this great thing. These Venn diagrams. The climate is always changing. Climate hysteria is dangerous. We should take care of our environment. You can believe all three. That's right there, a perfect demonstration of what purple seeks to be. That's the mindset that I'm trying to get people to see. The climate all by itself is always changing. All right? We know this. Ice ages, jungles in Sahara. Climate hysteria is dangerous. It's endangering people's lives when people block the streets. It's dangerous because it's raising prices. It's putting our energy sector on shaky ground. And we should take care of our environment. But more importantly, we should take care of ourselves. And that brings me to today's sponsor. Now, I just always wanted to do that. And so now I have. Mental health. The right mindset. That's what you need to take care of. You need to get your mindset right. You need to focus in on things. Avoid the distractions of all of this bullshit. Pay attention, but don't get swallowed by it. And keep your eye on the prize, whatever that might be. Nothing in this world comes easy. You have to have that grind set mentality. You have to dig down and claw your way to the things that you want. And if it's mental health that you want or need, you got to talk to people. That's what you got to do. You got to talk to people. And you got to realize that you're just going to have to crawl through it. That's it. There's no easy answers in life. We're not going to fix the planet. We're not going to fix the wars and the hate. But if we just realize the common sense answer to many of our problems are hard work and accept that it's hard work, we can achieve a hell of a lot more than simply running our mouths and waiting for shit to happen. I don't wait for shit to happen. I try to make it happen. I don't always accomplish it. I got a long line of failures. But every failure taught me something. And that's how you get to the top of whatever you're trying to get to, is by learning from your failures. Now, I just went off on a giant rant here. And I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate every one of you who has ever watched one of my videos. I do this because I love it. But I also do it because I love this country and I know this country's purple. I know that the red, white, and blue blends together and becomes purple. And the people and the cultures and the ideologies, the orientations and all of that blend together. But it takes common sense and it takes hard work. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party. So are you. Love one another. Drink plenty of fluids. For God's sakes, don't be stupid. And you know, when the climate hysteria got you down, dance it out.